I'll even use the senior example. It's a very sad call I had about a week ago. A woman was, well, actually she wasn't senior, she had serious illness protection, but she's 62 years old. I think she must have had a job but lost it because of some illness of some kind. And every year she applied for fuel assistance. Every month she was paying the company $50. She was in tears because she owed so much money. The $50 obviously was not enough to keep up with the bills. I said, that situation, first of all, you're serious illness, they can't shut you off. Second of all, a low-income person who applied for fuel assistance every year and pays $50 a month, which is all you can afford, they probably don't really even want to shut you off if they could. But paying zero is it's not a good strategy because you're going to be in a hole if you ever lose the protection. If it's winter moratorium, we know you're going to lose the protection in April. If it's infant, we know you're going to lose the protection. So I just want to stress that point that making payments at all times is important. Okay, so we actually got through all of the 4 protections. One of them isn't really a protection, but acts as a protection, elderly. And that same one, elderly, you don't have to file a financial hardship form. So any questions on triad step number 1, asserting rights? Okay, so we're now on the 3rd, flipped onto the 4th page, gone through all of the protections. We covered the warning about liens being placed on the property. So let me now get to triad step number 2. So now this is really the first thing I always do, is to try to figure out if there's a protection. People follow the logic of that. We don't want to spend money. Okay, next one is how do we get the bills down? The number one way to get bills down is to make sure your clients are on the discount rates. So let me tell you something about the discount rates. Every investor-owned utility, that is not the munis, every investor-owned utility in Massachusetts is required to offer discount rates to their customers. If you were to calculate the percentage, which is not how they structure, there's simply 2 prices. There's a price that's not discounted and a price that is discounted. But if you were to calculate the percentages, your clients would be saving about 20 to 25% on their bills. So even in a modest apartment, which doesn't use huge amounts of gas, let's say, if you're heating with gas, your bills are probably at least $1,500 a year. 20 to 25%, you're going to save $300 to $400. Even in a modest apartment. If you live in a one-family or a particularly poorly insulated building that's exposed to the weather, your client could be saving $600 a year on the discount rates, just on the gas side. On the electric side, it could be another couple of $100 a year. You want your clients on the discount rates. Let me explain a little bit about the history of discount rates. So for many, many years, we were winning discount rates individually, company by company, by going into their rate cases. And then in 1997, the Restructuring Act said every company has to have one. And it really said the companies have to lock in at the 1997 level the value of the discount. So at the time, electricity cost about 10 cents a kilowatt hour. There was also gas discount, but it's easier to do the electric numbers. So at the time, electricity cost about 10 cents a kilowatt hour, and the discounts were worth about 2 cents a kilowatt hour. So that was 20%. So when the legislature said lock in the value of the discount, there were 2 ways the department could have gone. Could have said, what we're locking in is 20%, or we're locking in 2 cents. And the reason that's actually significant is, could have drawn that better, but electricity is now not quite 20 cents, but I'll use it as a round number. If we lock in the 2 cents, the value dwindled to 10%. Versus if we had locked in 20%, it would be worth a lot more. So we fought this policy discussion for years. We were unfortunately losing it. It was locked in at 2 cents. About a year ago, the department said to companies, no, you got to get back to the same percentage level. So it's worth a lot more. You really have to make sure your clients are on the discount rates. There's a couple of ways to get on the discount rates. So first, let me go back to what I was saying about financial hardship. You get coded if you're on fuel assistance. If you're on fuel assistance and the fuel assistance agency captures your account numbers, they send it to the utility and you get on the discount rates automatically. And then they have to keep you on, they usually keep you on for about 15 months. Most of the companies, so let's look at the current fuel season. If you got on this year to fuel assistance and they captured your account number, you'd be on the discount rates through all this fuel season over the next summer into the next fuel assistance season. So you'd have some months to apply, and so you'd never lose the discount rate coverage. You could also apply directly, and those forms are in the book. And the nice thing, this is unlike the financial hardship forms. Most of the companies print the discount rate form online. So we've included the web addresses for where you can find it. The advantage for that is I don't know if the forms have changed at all. So if you go to the website, hopefully their web address hasn't changed, and you can find the forms starting on page 111. Some of the companies have them in Spanish, which is nice. So we have the web addresses, and then we printed all of the actual forms that we could get our hands on. But the companies generally are very good about distributing the discount rates. Why? Because they are made whole for the discount through the rates. They're not losing money by discounting, and that means it's more likely these folks won't get terminated, so the companies are still going to get payments. And here's another example where the forms sometimes don't match your client's situation. Again, not through bad intent at all, but just kind of it's hard to keep up. So I can no longer keep up with, is it called Commonwealth Health? Is it called Medicaid? What is it called these days? So the companies can't always keep up with all the names of all the programs people can be on. So if your client was on a program that qualified them for the discount and it wasn't on the list, just fill it in on the form and check that box. One that isn't on some of the forms, for example, is public housing, because I need to tell you a little bit about what does qualify you for the discount. Again, if you qualify for fuel assistance, usually you'll get on. If you're filling out the form, you have to be on an income-tested program where your income is less than fuel assistance eligibility, 60% of median income. So that means any income-tested program whatsoever. It might not be on the list because it's a new program, it's an age change. Any income-tested program whatsoever, if your client's income is less than 60%, they get on the discount. Also, there are people who are not program eligible for LIHEAP, but they're income eligible. There's certain kinds of subsidized housing tenants who don't pay their heating costs and can't get fuel assistance payments. But the fuel assistance agency can take your app and say, you're income eligible, we can't make fuel assistance payments. That letter should get you on the discount rate. So basically, anybody at or below 60% of median income can get on the discount rates one way or another. People follow that? That is, if you can't think of another route, send them to fuel assistance. If you think their income's below 60%, they'll basically do an income run on them and give you a piece of paper that works. The one reason public housing is not on some of these lists that the utilities have is that continued occupancy rules in public housing allow you to stay in public housing up to about 100% of median income, sometimes even higher than 100% of median. So some people, not very many, some few people in public housing are above that 60% of median number. So you'd have to get a letter or something from the housing authority that says, you know, yeah, they're in public housing or Section 8, the voucher program, and their income's below 60% of median, okay? If you're going the route of applying by paper, I want to make a few suggestions about how to get on the discount rate quickly, because it used to take months for the companies to process this. If the discount could be worth $800 a year, every month your client's not on the discount, they're losing $70. You don't want that to happen. So you can fax the forms in. Again, I would save a copy of anything I faxed in case somehow the fax got lost. Also, you could send in not only the form itself, but any piece of paper that shows they're on that income-tested program and their income's below 60%. So the utilities know as well as I do, if you're on SNAP, food stamps, everybody on food stamps is below 60% of median by definition. Any piece of paper that makes it clear the person's getting food stamps would be sufficient. Now, the reason I say this is we have an interesting rule, but a problem can arise. Within the last 2 years, the department started to make it clear that the companies have to put you on the discount rate on demand. There was a period of time where we'd see lags of 3, 4, 5, even 8 months before they'd put you on. So they need to put you on demand, but if they don't ultimately get the proof that you're eligible, they then kick you off. And so what they're doing is they're basically going to whatever state agency gives you that assistance in checking that you really get it. You can speed up the process by sending in a piece of paper that says, my client's on food stamps, or my client's on TFDC, or whatever they're on. If it's public housing, the letter should say, and their income's below 60% of median income. You can fax that in, your client should get on the discount rate probably as of the next bill.